championship meeting when you get a Gary Stevens in the jocks room. Gary, welcome to Belmont Park. Last year was a very brief visit.
Right. Came in for about a month and a half last year. Enjoyed my stay here. Had some good success and got a lot of business out here. Of course, Wayne Lucas, Bobby Frankel sent a lot of horses out here and picked up some new people last year, met a lot of new people, and looking forward to it again this fall.
I was looking at the media guide because I knew I was seeing you today, and wherever I looked, you had won in 1995, which is what prompted me when you left to say the riders chipped in for a limo to get you out of here. But now you're going to stay to meet. Go back maybe on occasion, but generally staying here.
Right. I'm even thinking about the possibility of going to Florida this winter. You know, it's a good challenge for me. It keeps me sharp. Of course, coming off the injury, things are a little bit different than what they were in 1995. I came in here with a lot of powerful horses, and right now I'm looking to, you know, build my business back up again. I'm probably going to have to prove myself a little bit. People are a little bit leery. Want to know that Gary Stevens is 100%, but hopefully if they're watching me out in the afternoon, they'll see that I'm back.
We have Bobby Frankel and Wayne Lucas. Two of your clients are here.
Right, right. And got a very powerful stable right now. Bobby's got some very good turf horses out here, some young fillies that look like they're going to be very competitive around here.
I want to ask you something. We've always watched the jockeys there and the jockeys here, and there's been a bit of a battle. We think we have a strong colony. We know you have a strong colony. What about styles? Are the styles different?
Well, I think here on the East Coast you get a lot more patience than what you do on the West Coast, and I don't think that's necessarily to do with the jockeys themselves, except you have to adjust. If you're racing on the West Coast, you tend to have to make your horses show a little bit more speed. If you're riding here at Belmont, you better be a little bit more patient. Make sure that you've got horse the last quarter of a mile. And it seems that here on the East Coast, there's a lot more young and up-and-coming riders that are going to be around for a long time, the Mike Smiths and whatnot. Where on the East or West Coast right now, we're at a stage where we don't have any young riders right now. I mean, Corey Nakatani, he's established. He's been around for a long time now, and we need some young blood. But it's very, very competitive on both the East and West Coast, and to try and make comparisons, I think it's difficult. I think that, you know, we should look at it as racing in America, not the East Coast versus the West Coast. I think we can be proud of the riders in America.
But what you said just then is true. We watch those races from California. There's a tendency to go early.
Right.
Whereas here, particularly at Belmont with the wide sweeping turns, what we call the balcony move, patience is more of a virtue.
Absolutely. And, you know, I see races, riding races out in California where it's very, very frustrating. You'll have a horse that's looks on paper as to be cheap speed. He goes out, goes 21 and 2, 44 flat. They're supposed to stop. When they don't stop, something's wrong, you know. To me, that's not true horse racing. Anybody, a mailman, can go out and push one at 21 and 2, 44. It doesn't take any sense to ride a race like that. And you know, I think you've got to use your head a little bit more out here on the East Coast than what you do out there.
I watch that occasionally. We look at those fractions, we figure and they just don't. Why is that? Is it the racetrack?
Well, our tracks are very hard out there. We're basically racing at 3 racetracks throughout the year, and they get a lot of traffic over them, not only the horse traffic, but the equipment going over it 9 times a day. And when a race meet starts up, as that equipment goes over it 9 times a day, the track becomes harder and harder, faster and faster. And unfortunately, we seem to have a lot more injuries because of that, because of having the hard racetracks. And out here on the East Coast, you know, I notice another big difference in the training in the morning. You can go out here and breeze a horse 5 furlongs in 103, and it doesn't really seem to matter how fast you go. They get a lot of fitness out of it. Long, slow gallops out there on the West Coast. If you work a horse 5/8 of a mile and you go in over a minute, they haven't gotten anything out of it. They seem to, you know, you really have to drill a horse hard in the morning, and it takes away from the longevity of their career.
It's an interesting difference. I know it's like when we have a horse go out in 21 change, 44, Durkin will say 44 and 2. In California, that's just a normal half.
Yeah, you learn to just take it with a grain of salt. You can feel what's going on underneath you, how much horse you have underneath you. But like I say, the frustrating part is having a horse in front of it that you know is going too fast, and they're supposed to back up, and they don't back up, and it becomes a little bit frustrating. But that's California racing.
You've had a lot of injuries. You've come through a lot of injuries.
Right. Had my right shoulder, right knee done in 1985. Recovered from that. Left knee done in December of last year, arthroscopic surgery, and then the left shoulder done here in June. So I pretty much got a new body. Hopefully it'll give me another few years out of my riding. I feel great right now. the shoulders recovered well, and it was becoming troublesome for me. You know, it was becoming unstable, and to get it taken care of, I feel a lot better going out in the afternoon, knowing that it's not something that I have to consciously think about, worry about injuring, and it's just good to be back 100% again, be sound.
It was great to have you here. What about our turf course compared to theirs?
Well, again, wide sweeping turns, you know, it's much different than what California is. Although the opening couple days here, it looked like the turf might be favoring speed horses a little bit.
The Widener. The Widener was favoring it even more.
Exactly, and but I think we'll notice a change as the race meet goes on. You know, it's fresh. No one's raced on it for some months here, and it's in great shape. It's a little bit firm because of the dry summer, and as we get some more moisture, it's going to slow down a little bit, and I think you'll see the speed come back a little bit.
Have you been going to Woodbine from here? Would that be a fair guess?
Yes.
So we'll be here to the Breeders' Cup, and you may come back. You may stay on the East Coast.
Yeah, we've got a lot of traveling here in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be in Kentucky and traveling to Canada and all over the place. So looking forward to the fall.
He's with us. In fact, if you didn't notice from this interview, during one of his injuries, he joined us on NBC for the Breeders' Cup, and he was great. He's a natural. Thanks, Gary. Good to have you here. Right back with the Races of the Week.